So Dan Hooker's stance on punishment for false accusations by women receives mixed reactions from MMA fans. That's putting it lightly when it says mixed reactions. So this all came about when Jake Shields put up this post the other day. I can't use the first word, but you know what it says is the most disgusting, egregious thing a man can do. Falsely accusing a man of this is one of the most disgusting, egregious things a woman can do. Recently, there has been so many false allegations that we have no idea who to believe. This hurts women, making it harder for them to come forward and be believed. The only solution is to start handing out long prison sentences for false accusers. Now, of course, Jake Shields is talking about the subject of Russell Brand, and we all know what's going on there. Not really worth talking about. Predictable. Anybody who is not far left-leaning in terms of their ideology or their opinion has to be taken down. If you look across the board at right-wing, conservative, or even what we used to call centrist ideas or opinions, these people have been taken down. These people have had false accusations fired at them over and over again. They must be depleted. You cannot push back against the system. You cannot have an opinion that deviates from the mainstream. If you do, you must be cancelled. That's what's going on with Russell Brand. No police reports were made. A bunch of accusations that were compiled by a reporter. No charging of this man. Just accusations. Now he's been demonetized from YouTube. Job done. Goal achieved. You've stopped him from speaking out. I'm not a fan of this dude whatsoever. If the accusations that are being made are true, then he deserves what he gets. Are we ever going to find out if they're true or not? Could these possibly be false allegations that happen over and over and over, and more so in this new age that we're living in? Yes, of course they could be. This is what Jake Shields was referring to. This guy's opinion are middle of the road. I mean, he's saying stuff that I was talking about 15 years ago. You know, he scratched the surface on big pharma over the last 3 or 4 years. They don't like that. Globalists who run the world do not like that. They do not like someone coming after their pocket. There's a new push for a brand new injection for the sickness. It's coming out soon. I don't know who takes these things. Russell Brand definitely deterred people from going after strange, weird things that you put into your body without having been tasted. And that's not a good look. He's got to go. End of story. End of story. This guy's been demonetized now without any charges. Imagine that. There's people on YouTube that have committed crimes and continue to commit crimes, and they're perfectly fine to be monetized. This guy pushes back against the narrative, and as I said, he just scratches the surface. For me, it goes way deeper. There's obviously stuff that he doesn't even go near in terms of exposing what's really going on in the world. There's legit organizations that run social media, that run the mainstream media. You've seen Elon Musk go after these dudes in the last few weeks. It's not working out well. These people want you gone, you're gone. And especially if you don't toe the line in terms of liberal democracy or what we call cultural Marxism. So Jake Shields put out this tweet, and what the majority of people were thinking was, okay, that's a common sense approach to what this situation is. Correct? Dan Hooker, not so much. And this is the interesting thing, especially about fighters, especially about the UFC. You know, you think you might know someone until there's a socio-political opinion to be had from them. And just one opinion can tell you so much about a person. If we jump over here, we see that Dan Hooker responded to that tweet. He said, that's a strange hill to die on. Very interestingly worded tweet, to be honest with you. And within this very short tweet, so much has been said, and we actually grasp what this guy is about. Because the aforementioned article speaks about he had mixed reviews of his tweet and his opinion. So basically, he's of the opinion that we must believe everybody. And we saw that when he went after Islam Makhachev for the IV, for the drip, for cheating, basically. You know what I mean? He made a lot of accusations, but he didn't provide any proof. Not saying that it wasn't true. I think that these Dagestani boys are juiced, but you gotta have some solid evidence if you're gonna come out and say this publicly. Otherwise, you just look stupid. And that's what he did there, and that's what's happening here as well. If you go through the tweets, it's pretty much everyone saying the thing. A massive L for Dan Hooker. You know, his opinion was trash. If we jump over here, we see that Dan Hooker came out publicly and falsely accused Islam Makhachev of cheating without any shred of evidence. I don't know if it's falsely, but he didn't have any proof, so the burden of proof is on you. So I'm really surprised that the CUNT disagrees with this. If you jump down to the bottom here, it gets nice and spicy. It's Jake Shields responding to that. I found this really strange as well. Maybe he wants me out of retirement to smack him around. That'd be cool. I'd be interested in that. In terms of Dan Hooker's record and his UFC career, I don't mind him. He talks a lot of shit. It's usually little opinions that'll turn you off a fighter, and it'll say so much about him. First of all, he's from New Zealand, one of the most countries in the world. I mentioned this in one of my last videos. New Zealand, Canada, and Ireland. I mean, cultural Marxism pouring out of every orifice in these places, and he's balls deep in the middle of that place. So you can see where his opinions would be coming from here. Kind of like Robert Whittaker last week talking about the LGBTQ slurs, telling people that they need to do better.
Probably know what I'm speaking about. There was some crazy stuff said post-fight. Tell us about it.
Like, like the post-fight interview, they're just saying some real slurry, bigotry, bad words.
Oh, yeah, now I know what you're talking about.
Things
Idiot.
you can't say in 2024.
No. Shut the fuck up!
So in fairness, this says so much about Robert Whittaker. You're kind of thinking to yourself, oh, okay, you're one of them guys. You're one of them Luke Thomas guys who does a tweet looking for a little bit of virtue talking about 2 LGBTQ slurs in one night. I'd like to ask Robert Whittaker and Luke Thomas, who were these slurs directed at and what context was used? Could you just come back and answer that by any chance? Were these two fighters standing in the middle of the octagon after their fights, talking on the mic thinking, I'm going to try offend some LGBTQ people? Or were they responding to a bunch of fans that were booing and jeering them and thinking, so how can I fire back at these assholes who are jeering me? That's what they thought. They used a word that so many people use that doesn't hold any weight unless you give it any weight. The same with every other word. When you talk about Robert Whittaker, this guy's one of the toughest guys on the planet. One of the best fighters in the octagon. And he's coming out cooking to the woke mob. Coming out espousing cultural Marxism. That's what this shit is. When he says that we need to do better, people, you can't use slurs like that. What he's really saying is, shut your mouth and be careful about what you say for the rest of your life, because the mob will come after you, whether you believe it or not. That's what he's saying, and it's embarrassing. Dan Hooker espouses the exact same trash. And you know how you know even more so? When you look back, just look back a little bit. This guy's a douche. I pulled up this old clip of Volkanovski and Dan Hooker. They happened to start speaking about the incoming champion, Colby Covington. And just have a little listen to their opinion on the guy.
Colby, how does Colby say it? What's Colby say?
Come shot Jemaev.
Fuck off. He's a fucking idiot, bro.
He is an idiot.
A fucking idiot. And they fucking hide him. Like, the UFC hide the shit out of him, bro.
Well, they need to, right?
They need to.
Yeah,
they would slap the shit out of him.
They would slap the shit out of him. They need to hide him. Shut the F up. That's what he's saying here. He's going after Colby hard. Why would you think that is? Would you think it's because of Colby's WWE presence? I don't think so. I think it's because of the MAGA shit. I think it's because of the politics that he espouses. This guy is a Kiwi. This guy, as I said, is living in a socialist country. It seeps into the mindset of these guys. He's been indoctrinated. That's fine. Do whatever you need to do. But he's talking about they need to hide this guy. They need to protect this guy. And I'm thinking, is Israel Adesanya not your friend and training partner? Is he not the most protected guy on the roster? Give me a break.
Like, he actually goes out of his way to just avoid people.
Yeah.
Like, it's the weirdest thing. He's such
If you're gonna play that, own it, right?
You have to. Like, you have to.
And this bothers me as well, Volkanovski rolling in on it. If you're going to say this thing, own it. Okay, so let's look at what Colby has done in terms of owning it. He talked a bunch of shit to Jorge Masvidal, got in the octagon, and beat the living shit out of him for 25 minutes. Absolutely annihilated him. He talked a lot of shit towards Kamaru Usman. I watched the Kamaru Usman-Colby Covington number 2 fight the other day. Kamaru Usman clearly won the first 2 rounds. Colby clearly won the last 2 rounds, rocked him over and over again, had an absolute garbage tactic of rocking Kamaru Usman, almost having him out on his feet, and then shooting for a double leg that he could never finish. It was infuriating to watch. So you look at that fight, you've got 2 rounds to Colby at the end, 2 for Usman, and the 3rd round was razor thin. So you listen to Ian Cochado Gary saying the biggest thing Colby has ever done is lose to Kamaru Usman twice. Okay, dude, go and watch the fight. You listen to Volkanovski and Dan Hooker talking here, and it's like, you need to back that stuff up. What other way is there to back it up? Oh yeah, I forgot, as professional fighters, millionaires, we need to go out in the street and fight. Don't get me wrong, I'm all up for a little rumble on the street. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. You know what I mean? But I'm not a professional fighter. I'm not getting paid millions to do it in the octagon. But when you have a situation where you've done 25 minutes in the octagon, you've got humiliated and absolutely battered, so you then take it to a restaurant 5 days later, and we're supposed to think that Colby is the bad guy in that situation and he's a coward in some way. He got in the octagon with you for 25 minutes and destroyed you. End of story. That's how he backed up his shit. And this last little clip here, I have to show it just in context of what has happened in the last 2 weeks. So this is Oscar Willis and Dan Hooker. They're in a pub, they're having a few drinks. It seems to be a podcast over on the Mac Life. It is what it is. I don't like Oscar Willis. Who does? That's fine as well. They're talking. This is a couple of days before the Strickland and Adesanya fight. And just listen to the arrogance. Listen to Dan Hooker and Willis talk about their boy Israel Adesanya.
If Sean didn't say anything and then got to the press conference and was like, and he's fucking Asian, then it might be like, oh shit. But not that being Asian's bad, but you know what I mean. I think it's a kind of a, I don't want to say it because you don't want to disrespect anyone, but it feels like a bit of a freebie for Israel, yeah?
He got smacked all over the octagon by Sean Strickland, and there has been radio silence for a week and a half, 2 weeks since that happened. So I just want to jump to this little part here. Oscar and Dan talk about the aura and the presence of Israel Adesanya fighting in Australia as opposed to the last time he fought there. And he actually got on the route of him being so popular over there that they couldn't believe it. Have a little listen.
Like, you know, he knows that he knows that this is his event, right? And I feel like he's treating it as like a homecoming event. Yesterday with the open workout, he was like, I'm doing this for you guys, respect and all that.
That was cringe. That was absolutely cringe.
So I think there's that.
Yeah, that was mad because when we were actually at that fight, like I was there in 2019.
Yeah.
Like I was co-main versus Ally Quinta. Like people did not like him then.
Yeah,
So he talks about 2019 over in Australia. He was co-main event. People did not like Israel Adesanya then. And I'm like going, and they like him now? So, dude, what are you talking about? You absolute nutter shill. And the last quick story I have on Dan Hooker was that Dan Hooker reckons that Israel Adesanya was trying to bait Dricus du Plessis during a heated confrontation at UFC 290. I saw this on that Half-Cast podcast, I believe that's what it's called, with Kai Kara France. He was sneering and laughing and jeering at the idea that Israel was trying to make Dricus du Plessis use a racial term. To do what? For what purpose? And why is it funny? I don't get it. You're a scumbag. One, for even engaging in that. You should have called out your buddy. You should have said, I don't know why he was doing it. He shouldn't really have done it. Why would my friend make this about race? But he didn't say that. He laughed. And that says the world to me about what type of guy Dan Hooker is. He went after Jake Shields for saying that people needed to be prosecuted for lying. Him and his buddy laughed at the idea of Sean Strickland beating Israel Adesanya. He hates Kobe Covington with a passion. This guy's a piece of shit, man. Simple as that. Had to be called out. Let me know your thoughts down below. See you in the next one.